What's up, Marvelites, and welcome to a brand new episode and the year ender of the MCUExchange podcast. This is episode 42. Woo! My name is Aaron. I'll be your host for this episode. Alongside me is Charles.
What's up?
And Joe.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys? 2020 is not a good year for MCU fans because there are no MCU projects in this year. No new. There are news, of course. There are rumors, but Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios surprised everyone last week during a Disney Investor Day when he announced a plethora of surprising projects for the MCU, and let's get right to it. So December 10th was a big day for MCU fans because several projects have been announced, several casting additions have been confirmed, and as we look ahead in the future of the MCU, this is going to be, the next few years is going to be a big year for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's get right to it. Of course, we know that when WandaVision will be released on January 15, 2021, next year, it will kick off the multiverse-heavy Phase 4 of the MCU. Next up, it's finally confirmed, guys, after months of speculation and theories, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier will now be released on March 19, 2021, right after WandaVision. Holy. Okay. And then after that, Loki will be released this May 2021. And there's a trailer for that. I'm going to break it down later, of course. And What If, the first ever more original animated series from Marvel Studios, is coming in the summer of 2021. Wow. That's a lot. And then Miss Marvel, there's no date yet, but it's confirmed to arrive next year in late 2021. There's also a sister review for that. I'm going to break that down later. And then Hawkeye, who's now filming right now, and Kate Bishop's been confirmed to be played by Haley Steinfeld, amazing Haley Steinfeld, will also premiere on Disney Plus in late 2021. You're counting that, guys? Because there's a lot already. And then after that, well, there's no official release window. Kevin Feige confirmed that She-Hulk will be played by Tatiana Maslany. We've been reported that in the past few weeks, but it's now confirmed by Feige himself and Marvel Studios. It will be exciting. Hulk will be there. Mark Ruffalo. I'm going to discuss that casting additions later. Next up, Moon Knight. No release date was announced, but it was confirmed that it will explore Mark Spector's mental health issues, which is going to be an intriguing stuff for the MCU. Next up is finally confirmed after months of rumors. Secret Invasion will reunite Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury and Ben Mendelsohn's Talos, which will shake things in the MCU, just like what Civil War did, I hope. And after that, it's confirmed that Ironheart will also arrive. There's no release date yet, but Dominic Thorne will officially star in her own MCU spin-off show, which is, of course, which will carry off Tony Stark's legacy. And then next up, we have Armor Wars, which will see the return of Don Cheadle as James Rhodes, and Kevin Feige mentioned that it will be inspired by a classic Marvel story about Tony Stark's worst fear coming true. What happens when his tech falls into the wrong hands? Interesting. We're about to find out. Maybe in Phase 5 or at the tail end of Phase 4. Who knows? And then after that, we have two new Guardians of the Galaxy projects on top of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, a first for the MCU, and James Gunn and the rest of the cast of the Guardians will return for this Disney Plus Holiday Special coming on 2022. And last but not the least, definitely not the least, because the fan favorite Baby Groot will return in a series of short films for Disney Plus, featuring several new and unusual characters. Given that the setting is space, anything can happen. But there's no date yet, but it's going to be released on Disney Plus. So those are the projects that has been announced. Those are only for Disney Plus. Of course, they also announced films: Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals. Yeah, those are the first three. But the main focus, it's clear, based on this reveal, the main focus of Marvel Studios are the Disney Plus series, and it will open up a brand new chapter in the franchise. And it will, wow, there's so much. I lost my breath there when we're covering it then. But last December 10, it was a crazy day, guys. Um, Before we break it down, I just want to ask you guys, how was your experience when these projects are announced one by one during that day? Charles, you first.
It was pretty crazy. I did not have any sleep during that presentation because, as you all know, the time zones are kind of fucked up here. So
Yeah.
as soon as it's happening, I think in the evening during there, what's happening in the morning, or in the wee hours of the morning here. So it was pretty crazy. I tried to be at least laid back for once and try to enjoy stuff, because the thing with huge events like this, when everyone's writing stuff, when everyone's covering shit, chances are your stuff isn't gonna get read at the moment.
Yeah.
So I did try my best to at least enjoy seeing trailers and whatnot, and trying to just enjoy seeing Kevin Feige speak, quote unquote, on a stage, um, like he used to do with SDCC and D23, and just like sort of enjoy the moment. But also, there was also that aspect of feeling overwhelmed and crazy that holy shit, we have so much stuff to write. Holy shit, I got so much stuff to cover. Oh my god, there's like an overwhelming abundance of news. And again, in a year where we didn't get shit for the MCU, I really can't complain about how last Thursday went.
Yeah. After total silence in the past 11 months, it was crazy, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Joe,
Yes.
how about you?
It was crazy. It was crazy how much I didn't, going in, I expected maybe like one or two new things. I didn't expect like an onslaught of news, especially, as Charles said, it's like we have for us, it kind of dawns on you the next day. Or if you're sleep deprived, maybe 2 days later, what happened, what was going on. And there's some like huge implications on these stories, and I think that they're slowly seeding not just one major overarching storyline like we had with the first three phases, but like potentially many smaller ones. And just seeing the amount of shows coming, and you see that they've realized that Disney Plus right now is their gold, pretty much their cash cow as much as possible, even if they won't get plus numbers until 2024 according to the same Investors Day reports. But like, what does all these shows, and it seems they might be going for a every 2 month release. Even
Yeah.
I, that's a lot of content per year. But at the same time, Agents of Shield per season was 22 episodes, with how many shows on CW running at the same time. So like 6 episodes per show, maybe 6 shows a year, didn't seem as bad. It's
Yeah.
just crazy because it's new IPs, new characters getting introduced, recurring characters, expanding the universe. I don't think they're going to hold their timings if they intersect with the film, so that's going to be even more confusing and fun. It's going to be a crazy ride, especially 2021.
Yeah. And I was breaking down the news earlier. I forgot one thing. I forgot to add. Just want to add this. John Watts will direct Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four film. Forgot to add that. Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. Just want to say, because it's clear that Disney Plus is the future of the MCU, and
Yeah.
these stories will evolve over the years. But looking at the release schedule here, Joe is right. It's every 2 months. There's new MCU content. Fans will be spoiled by new MCU content every 2 months, whether it's on the Disney Plus side or the films. You mean when Black Widow premieres, it's the same month as Loki premieres. Look at that. It's crazy. And wow, this I don't know where to start, honestly, but this means that after I think the timing is great. You know what, guys? The timing is great because we're just recovering from Avengers Endgame and Far From Home, the Infinity Saga as a whole, and the 1 year break is. Do you think the 1 year break is helpful or not? because there's a lot of projects here. Do you think that it will help boost fan excitement? Of course, yes. But the real question is, do you think that the major the amount of projects next year, major amount of projects next year, there's 8 at least, I think, 8, 7, just for the year 2021. Do you think that that will hurt the MCU, or do you think that it's okay? Charles, you first.
I think it's fine. Like you said, there's been like a total drought for content, so people are hungry. If anything, the absence of any MCU content sort of reignites everyone's excitement. Like, imagine if we got all the shows they intended to put out this year. That Investors Day meeting what isn't gonna be as mind blowing as it was last Thursday because everyone's just so fucking excited. So I think there's a benefit to you know to sort of a delay in putting out content for next year. So I think it's a win-win for them regardless.
Joe, how about you?
Um, I've seen people, complain about the oh, it's too much content and oh, this makes no sense. But at the same time, we had an entire year where people complained we got nothing. Why aren't they sharing any information? It's kind of a duology, and I think to some degree, I see a lot of like content creators a little scared of it because I think with Marvel and its popularity, a lot of people feel the need they have to watch everything, especially if you have to cover it and talk about it and it echoes how much content then is online with everyone making their own theory videos and reviews. So it gets a bit much, but in reality, for like what Marvel Studios is producing, it's going to be an interesting balance. I am surprised they going like really all 2 months. That is huge. If they really pull it through, maybe they have like a break plan. We don't know. One thing I've noticed is that technically speaking, most of the announcements were already well known or well established. So the only reason in like the new shows, we're talking about years of content. It's not everything coming out in 1 year. And I feel like they're like we had pretty much a similar situation years ago when Phase 3 kicked off. They're like, this is our slate of films, but we never found out anything else. That was like all we had with like besides the casting announcements and film dates and maybe logo changes and trailers, but we only had like that one slate that kept getting shifted around. Now I feel like, especially since Phase 3 ended, I noticed that what they're doing is we have the San Diego Comic-Con. They announced their slate like we're used to. Then at D23, all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, we have these shows and this show and Black Panther 2 coming out. And now they did something similar by they're saying, hey, this is everything you know, and we're going to potentially do this, this, and this. And I think that's kind of like the strategy they're going for moving forward, where they're like slowly expanding the shows so they can adapt depending on, with Disney Plus, they can get it out at any time. If it's done, they have the right time to publish it. They're much more flexible. So it's probably easier to just announce shows in advance and then adjust their schedule. If they have, if they say, okay, we're only going to do 4 or 5 shows after all next year, then they're not going to have any big announcements next year and just maybe stick to the ones they already announced, which gives them way more flexibility than pretty much saying this is our slate for an entire year, for the next 3 or 4 years. They can kind of build around it. And I think it's a great strategy that makes it seem more bloated than it really is, because most of it we already knew and we expect it to some degree as well.
Yeah, and when Kevin Feige described it last year during the last year's Disney Investor Day, he used the phrase, Disney Plus shows are the long form approach of storytelling, and they're going to maximize on that because when it's a film, you're contained within the 2 hours and 30 minutes the most, right? But these shows will provide an opportunity for Marvel Studios to um, tell more stories, right? From various perspectives, and this also provides an opportunity for other characters to shine and be fleshed out even more. So by the time when fans saw them in films, like, okay, I saw this guy from this show, and I know his backstory, and wow, this is amazing. Now he's in the film with the other Avengers. That you have that feeling, right? Because it's going to be great, because it's confirmed to connect to the movies, and I can't wait to find out how all of this will play out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we broke down the projects. Let's move to the casting additions now. First off, of course, Jonathan Majors has been confirmed as Kang the Conqueror. Wow. For Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Quantum Mania. Wow, that's a good title. But the interesting tidbit there is Emma Furman from Avengers Endgame was recast and as Cassie Wang. Now the actress that will be playing her is Catherine Newton from the latest film Freaky and from 2018's Blockers. That's her films. And do you like this replacement? Do you like Catherine? Which do you prefer, Catherine Newton or the short but pleasant appearance from Emma Furman from Avengers Endgame? Charles?
Uh, well, I'm familiar more with Catherine Newton because she was in Detective Pikachu, the Pokemon movie with Ryan
Yeah,
Reynolds.
Detective Pikachu. Yeah.
She was the lead girl in that, and I kind of like what she did there. However, I do kind of feel bad for Emma Furman. I saw her I guess her tweet earlier today that she's basically said that she didn't know that they were recasting. I think
Yeah.
everyone assumed at the time that news broke that, oh, she's in college. Maybe she probably just chose to go to school as opposed to starring in a movie. Maybe she just found that more important than Ant-Man 3. But then that's clearly not the case. As she was, I guess, hoping to maybe return. I guess from a I guess financial economical standpoint, it does make sense to get someone more famous, someone like Catherine Newton, who's starting to have her own built-in fan base. I know that Freaky movie is getting a lots of great reviews as one of the, I guess, best horror movies of the past 10 years or so. So I guess that's an advantage for Ant-Man 3, as
Hmm.
opposed to Emma Furman, who I guess at this point is a total unknown. And if I'm not mistaken, Emma Furman is still underage while Catherine Newton is in her 20s. So I mean, the logistics of having someone underage and someone having of age on the set is a lot. It's a lot different. So, you know, I guess ultimately it's ultimately best for them to just go with Catherine Newton. But again, I do feel bad for Emma Furman for not being informed of the whole process. I mean, if I was in her place, I would have at least appreciated a heads up that, hey, we're going on a different direction. We're getting
Hmm.
Catherine Newton and not, sorry, but we maybe have another role for you in the MCU. But it looks like that wasn't the case for her. So I feel bad for the whole thing for her.
Yeah, I feel bad. We had Twitter. Oh man, it's just unpleasant. Joe, how about you? What do you think about this recasting? Not casting, recasting.
So when the news hit, I first of all, it took me a minute to realize that they recast her because I kind of was in the middle of writing, so I missed it at first.
Yeah.
But then when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's rather odd. Why would they recast her? Because Emma, yeah, as Charles said, she is younger and underage, so that makes things difficult. But they did cast her in the role. They must have seen something of why they say they wanted her as Cassie. So
Yeah.
my mind automatically went, okay, this is Quantum Mania. We have multiple dimensions. It's like the big thing coming. Are they
Hmm.
like would they introduce an older version of Cassie who's from a different multiversal dimension, and or she like suddenly replaces Emma Furman's version as a result from whatever Doctor Strange does. So my mind went to like all these different theories that she might have a cameo and then get replaced, or there's like a bigger story arc that's connected to it, because that's, I think, a great because a lot of Ant-Man films are about family, and I could see Scott Lang, entering the quantum realm to get back his version of Cassie and trying to get her back. Like that would have been a really interesting story.
Hmm.
Then she went to Twitter, and I was like, "Oh shit!" It's like,
You
oh
found that on the day itself.
yeah, that was like, okay, I guess I should not make that theory, but at the same time, it's like I felt bad for her, and I think she did a wonderful job because it was a very emotional scene, and she looked like an older Cassie, so that connection was instantly there the moment Scott was in front of her when he saw her. I don't know why they did it. If they recast her and at least tell her in advance That's one thing, but I'm really confused by this. I don't know. I feel terrible for Emma. I think she did a fantastic thing for the short time she had. I'm not quite sure where they're going with this. I'm not quite sure why they would recast her because Marvel isn't the one to recast if they have to keep things as consistent as possible.
Yeah.
I still have a theory. I'll still stick to my theory that there's maybe more to this than it seems, but right now I feel sorry for her. I understand this new actress. I haven't actually seen the film she's been in yet, so I can't say much. I'm curious where this goes. That's pretty much where I am.
I actually watched Freaky last week, and wow, Catherine Newton is amazing there. And because the premise of the movie, just a little sidetrack here for 1 minute. The premise of the movie is Vince Vaughn, the comedian, is the killer in that movie, and then it's like Freaky Friday. They swap bodies. So Catherine Newton was in intense action scenes in that movie, and she can pull it off. She can pull off a stature in which, interesting tidbit, she shared an Instagram story, an image in her Instagram story, that image of stature, potentially teasing that she will become stature in the third Ant-Man film. Let's now move on to She-Hulk because it featured an unexpected announcement. On top of the confirmation that Mark Ruffalo will return as Bruce Banner, we also have confirmation that Tim Roth will return as the Abomination from the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. Joe, do you think that Abomination will play the main villain of She-Hulk, or if he will just be there as a side quest villain? I don't know.
I don't think he's the main antagonist. Abomination isn't a She-Hulk villain. That's a classic Hulk villain, and they I think we have a villain that is connected to She-Hulk directly. I think he might not have a huge. I don't know what big of a role he is. So here's the thing: they recast Cassie Lang, but they bring back Tim Roth as Abomination, who is almost 100% CGI. So the thing is that either he's back as Tim Roth in the series. I could see him maybe try to sue the government for putting him on ice or whatever happened to him, and then he transforms and becomes like a minion. I think we'll get Abomination again. Personally, I hope he goes through a transformation that kind of makes him more comic book accurate and less, Alien 4, what he was.
Yeah.
Really interesting, and I'm curious what kind of role. And I wonder, this opens up the question as well: could we see the leader finally return?
It will be amazing if the leader also returns because it's a reunion from the 2008 Incredible Hulk film without Edward Norton. So, Charles, Abomination finally confirmed. Do you think that it will lay the groundwork for the potential introduction of the Thunderbolts?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think yes. The fact that he's still alive, existing out there, that obviously doesn't preclude the idea that oh shit, he might be able to join the Thunderbolts. It's very very likely. I kind of like Joe's theory that uh, if we're getting Tim Roth, they probably plan on using him in human form because it's gonna be super expensive if he's the Abomination for an entire episode. So I think something's gonna happen where in his story he has found a way to, I guess, revert to human form, which in the comics he cannot do if I'm not mistaken because he's permanently stuck in that Abomination form in the comics. So I think that's cool. As far as Abomination being a She-Hulk villain, like it's so weird because some of the casting grids indicate that uh, She-Hulk is gonna have her own villain here. So I don't quite know how the Abomination is gonna fit in because She-Hulk, she's a lawyer. She kind of lives in her own, I guess, not small world, but she's in a world that's not inhabited by crazy Avengers like villains and whatnot. She's her own thing. In many ways, she has like an everyman type of story like Daredevil. So it is kind of weird that Abomination is here. Like I wonder how they're gonna make him fit in along with Bruce Banner. How their story is gonna form. However, because it's a Hulk property, Marvel would be totally stupid not to bring him back. It's a fucking Hulk thing. Might as well bring all the Hulk characters we all love. Might as well bring in the leader while they're at it. So here's to hoping that they bring actually the leader back in, and here's to hoping that they find a good way to reintroduce Abomination into the story.
Yeah, and also Betty Ross. Maybe
Yeah, oh yeah, sure.
that's a lingering plot thread in the MCU. Who knows what happened to that character? Let's now move on to another MCU project. Let's now move on to Thor: Love and Thunder, because it's finally confirmed that Christian Bale would be starring as Gore the God Butcher in the Chris Hemsworth-led film, coming on May 6, 2022. Christian Bale, Marvel, Gore the God Butcher. All those three together, it's going to be crazy. Joe, what do you think of this casting?
Interesting. We always assumed he'd be the Roxxon I think it was CEO who becomes the Minotaur. That was kind of like everyone
Yeah,
expected him to be because it's what you. I don't know. It fit the role fit Christian Bale, but Gore is such an interesting addition because it has a lot of implications on. Will this be Thor being hunted down, or is he like hunting down the different type versions of Thor? And this may be the reason why Mighty Thor, Jane Foster becomes that character. We still don't know, is she from a different dimension because she has Mjolnir, but Mjolnir is destroyed in this dimension? God, everything in Phase 4 is breaking my head. Also, didn't we already see the famous weapon that Gore used in Ragnarok? Because Hela used the same kind of weapon. I forgot. I think Darkblade or something like that. That he's famous for. So did she steal it from him? In the comics, it was the blade is actually a symbiote, so will it connect to Spider-Man? So it's gonna.
man. Not familiar with Gore the God Butcher. Go on.
It's going to be really interesting. I don't think they're going to go the symbiote route. I could kind of imagine that the magic he uses, that he has some kind of connection to Hela. So maybe like they, I don't know, ex-lovers or something, and he wants to get revenge on Thor for her getting killed. So because they did kind of tease it's like a romance thing. I think originally it was going to premiere in February, if I'm right or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the point. It's like, Gore was in love with Hela, or they were a thing, and she has like the sword from him. So and now we have the love story of whatever's happening with Thor and Jane Foster and Valkyrie. So it's like a really twisted version of a love story. I have no idea where they're going. I'm curious if Christian Bale is going to be fully CGI or if they have some practical effects, because we know that Taika Waititi does enjoy using practical effects.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting. I have to say, I did not expect Gore, and it changes everything about that film for me personally.
Interesting. Charles, how about you? Christian Bale finally confirmed as Gore the God Butcher. Now, how do you think his role will affect the narrative trajectory of Thor: Love and Thunder?
It's interesting because Gore the God Butcher, his whole thing is that he hates gods. Like, I don't care what kind of god you are. If you're a god, I'm gonna fucking murder you. That's his whole thing. So if they're gonna adapt some of that, are we gonna see like the other pantheons in the Marvel universe? Because in the comics, Gore pretty much, at least in the far future, Gore pretty much destroyed everyone. Pretty much murdered every god in the Marvel universe, the Greek gods, everyone else. So I do wonder if we're gonna see a glimpse of the pantheons existing outside of Norse. Maybe we even see fucking Khonshu and maybe have a sick Easter egg to Moon Knight, something like that. But at least that's how I think um, the implications Gore has for the larger Marvel universe. I'm sure we're gonna we're gonna see at least a glimpse of what Gore has been doing these past few years. I agree with Joe that like man, I was really batting for Dario Agger, the American Psycho CEO of Roxxon. That kind of seemed like the perfect fit for Thor, and the fact that finally Thor has an Earthbound villain who has just magic powers is kind of cool, as opposed to being like a demigod or or something. I kind of like that idea that he was just fighting a crazy CEO. That was that idea just super excited me. But it's hard to complain because I do love the Jason A run of Thor. I think it's probably one of the best Thor runs of the past, I guess, 20 years or so. I think it's probably the best Thor run of the past 20 years. So it's hard to complain. As for the Hela thing, yeah, I kind of thought that. because they even acknowledged Hela having similarities to Gore's power during the promotional stuff for Thor Ragnarok. I thought that that would preclude Gore to being actually in the MCU, but I don't know. I'm curious how they're gonna, I guess, explain the similarities. Maybe they don't even explain it at all. I mean, how many people out there have the same sword, black goo looking powers in the universe? I'm sure there's bound to be some similarities, so they can get away with not explaining it. However, I am curious if they're gonna explain it being connected to Hillers or something. But I mean, it's cool Christian Bale's in the MCU, and I'm curious how Gore is gonna look like in general.
You
Yeah,
made
and go,
sorry.
Joe.
Could we see the Eternals cameo as well? Given that they also represent gods on Earth.
That's a
Interesting.
very, very good point. I didn't even think about it until you mentioned that.
We know that this is Taika Waititi film. Imagine what I just imagine the scene because Charles pointed out that Gore the God Butcher literally kills gods. I just imagine a scene where there's a montage sequence of Gore killing gods, killing Zeus or stuff like that. Any god,
Yes.
Hercules. Jeez.
Hercules. Yeah, Hercules is rumored to appear in the MCU. Maybe he might appear in this film. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now let's move on now to the trailers. You know what, guys? The trailers are surprising because fans are only expecting a WandaVision trailer during that day, and then Kevin Feige dropped Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Miss Marvel. Wow, crazy! And a small snippet of Hawkeye footage. Well, we're gonna talk about first the WandaVision trailer. It's going to be released 1 month from now, at least less than a month from now. A month from now, yeah. And WandaVision, half sitcom, half MCU spectacle. This has always been described by Kevin Feige. And the trailer opens up. The biggest takeaway from that trailer is the return of the Mind Stone, right? Because it's
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
I mean, the Infinity Stones are destroyed, and the biggest takeaway is that one. What's happening there? And a a person wearing a bee protective gear, I think. And I think that's the main villain of that series. He can either be Mephisto or I don't know who else, but it's going to be weird. What do you think of that trailer, Charles? WandaVision. Are you surprised or are you amazed with that?
Like honestly, out of all the trailers they dropped, that was the one I cared for the least. Maybe because we're just so close to it. Like I don't need to see anything else.
Yeah,
I certainly didn't need to see that Mind Stone scene because again, we're so close. We're like less than a month from now. It's gonna be New Year in like just a couple of weeks. So that to me was like the least of my stuff I was looking forward to at this point. But yeah, it's a cool trailer. Um, the Mind Stone one, yeah, is clearly the biggest takeaway there. I certainly wasn't expecting an actual return of the Mind Stone. As for the Beekeeper stuff, honestly, I think people are looking way too much into that. I'm willing to bet that's just some guy
random
that
guy.
yeah, it's just some random character there. So it's not gonna be that big of a character, but we'll see. But yeah, I think ultimately the Mind Stone was the biggest thing. I'm curious if is Wanda gonna be is she gonna rebuild the Mind Stone from her mind, or is that like sort of a flashback thing that's just happening in her head that she sees the Mind Stone and maybe that's how it manifests in her head, like it appears in her head, and that's how she, I guess, unlocks some of her powers. I'm curious how that's gonna go, but yeah. Also, there's a particular moment in the trailer where Vision and Wanda like say something like they have to defend their home. I wonder if that's like the last episode thing, or maybe that's like a episode 2 or something. I am curious how it's all gonna pan out because if you think about all the stuff we've been seeing in the Mandalorian, none of the stuff we're seeing in the past 4 episodes were in the trailer. All the stuff that was
Yeah,
in the trailer was just like the first 3 or 4 episodes. So I do wonder if all the stuff in the WandaVision trailer is like in the first half of the show, and they're hiding everything else.
yeah, the sitcom heavy episodes. Uh,
Yeah.
Joe, WandaVision, excited because of the trailer or not?
Definitely excited. I was one of the fools who did fall for the could the beekeeper be more, so I'll confess that right now. The thing is that what tipped us all off is we all kind of assumed Agnes because they did give a lot of focus on the nosy neighbor, who we think is I think Agnes Harkness, or I'm not 100% sure on the original name, but
Agatha Hart.
thank you, Agatha. We all kind of assumed that was going to be the character who's like behind it all. I had this theory of maybe they're kind of connecting it to Salem, witches, and be like, oh, witches are real, and the abilities that Wanda have are kind of derived from that history. Because, with the introduction of the Eternals, we're exploring more of the MCU's history and this very unique aspect of the world that's different from ours. But like then they're like, she's the one who goes, are you here to help us? And then you see they had this like short moment on that beekeeper. It's weird. It's really weird how we're so close to the series releasing, and we still know so little. To be honest, I think we still there's glimpses of what could be, but we don't know what direction they're going. What exactly is the whole plot line? I think that sudden reveal caught everyone off guard. It's going to be interesting. I'm really excited to see where they go with the show. I'm regretting the fact that it's a weekly release because I'm impatient that way. It's going to be really curious, and I cannot wait to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, and we're going to cover everything next year when WandaVision premieres on Disney Plus, starting on January 15 in the US, January 16 here in the Philippines. So let's now move on to another Disney Plus project that also received a trailer. It's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, along with a trailer, is going to be released on March 19th, 2021, right after WandaVision, I counted. So, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There's a lot. There are references to Captain America: The Winter Soldier. There are two scenes: the knife, the knife flip, and then they have no parachute thing when Falcon drops from the plane, and then stuff like that. And then we saw a glimpse of Madripoor, I think. Yeah, and the Flag Smashers are there too. And what's intriguing about that trailer is the line from Sam Wilson where he mentioned the legacy of that shield is complicated, which basically confirms that the show will not just explore Steve Rogers' Captain America, but also explore other super soldiers, which is the rumor that's been running around in the past months. Joe, your reaction first for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, basically your general reaction to all of it.
Very action-packed trailer. I love the sequence with Falcon, what they showcased. I'm a huge fan of Falcon and Bucky, Sam and Bucky kind of being frenemies more than actual friends, because I do think they hate each other to some degree. It was the best part of Civil War. That the point you made about the history of the Shield, that is a really good point and really interesting. And I hope they dive deep. Like, I would love if the show starts off, because the thing is, we know that it's about the Shield. Flag Smasher has been kind of confirmed. I would love for each episode to kind of start off with the war propaganda of a Captain America of a different era. Start off with the one we know, with Chris Evans, then go into Nuke, and just any other version. Like, this is something that the MCU has never focused on until now, because, Captain America, the original's back. Why do you care about the rest? They were just failed experiments. But it could kind of be a cute way or an interesting way to kind of showcase that history he teased and the implications. I think like one of the last, what would be really cool is to have like the last episode have like a video for the new Captain America that we see, whatever his journey is, which seems to be going to a darker side. That would be like a great way to kind of introduce these different types with their era respectively, add a different flourish. There's a lot of potential with all of these shows, and that's the crazy thing about it. And even though Falcon and the Winter Soldier might be the most grounded of the three we've seen, it looks like a hell of a ride. And I can't wait to explore places like, I think they showcased Madripoor. I want to see more locations from the MCU, from Marvel Comics, and I think this is a great start in that direction.
And also the dynamic between Sam and Bucky, it's really one of the highlights of that trailer.
Oh, definitely. They hate each
Charles, how about you?
My favorite part of the trailer is so weird because it's not even a moment. It's not even like a shot. My favorite part of the trailer is hearing the Captain America theme as soon as the the title card role. I got chills from that. Like holy shit.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the thing that sort of solidified. Holy shit. In many ways, this is still Captain America's story, which is I think it's cool that even in death, Captain America still fucking he still lives on in these two people. So I think that whole like nod to Captain America is so cool. I also like the thing at the start where you see that all those what do you call that, like posters of war propaganda with Cap. Weirdly enough, I don't think it doesn't seem like that's in the show. It kind of seems like a commercial they filmed where Sam Wilson is in a studio. He just happens to be there. It didn't look like a museum or anything. It just looked like one of those like fancy stages where you know
Hmm.
it seemed like super staged that moment. So I'm curious if that's even in the show. But I like the idea that, like you said, that shield has so much meaning to I guess to America, not just limited to Sam and Bucky, but it just has so much weight. It carries so much meaning for people. So I like that they're gonna explore that. Uh, I know this last week we got a first look at the Flag Smashers when I saw them in that promo art. I was kind of bummed out that they just looked like goons with masks. But when I actually saw them in the trailer, they they seemed like super badass. I also like I think I mentioned it on Twitter that you know the fact that they're fighting the Flag Smashers, they're fighting Sam and Bucky. It clearly means they're probably enhanced in one way, so they probably have their own powers as well. So I am curious how that's gonna pan out because there's no way that they're just like normal dudes going against Captain America and Bucky. There's no way. I also like the scene in the trailer where Zemo is yeah, I think he's in Sokovia. He's at a Sokovian like
Yeah.
a mural in the Ground Zero site. I'm not sure if that's his family, but it's pretty cool that we're also gonna see some of Zemo's background. Obviously, that's that scene where Sam is flying through the canyon where he's getting chased. That's super badass. But it's a pretty sick trailer. And man, if only we could have seen that show this year, we probably would have had an episode dedicated talking about that episode. When it came out in September last this year. Man,
Yeah.
what a if only, dude, if only.
It will set the benchmark of the Amazing Phase 4, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So next up is my favorite trailer from the Disney Investor Day, honestly. Loki. I didn't expect this at all when it dropped. And I was writing an article then, and then I was listening to the Disney Investor Day stream and on the background, and then Feige announced, "Here's the official first look at Loki," and then wow. So the trailer
Uh,
opens up with the Avengers Endgame scene, as we all know, and then Loki gets the Tesseract and then ends up on a alternate timeline. I think maybe. There are many references in that trailer. He referenced his brother Thor and Heimdall, uh, and also there's also a nod to Iron Man because the first shot after that Avengers Endgame clip was he was in the desert, which is similar to how Tony Stark
oh
ended
yeah.
up in the first film, first Iron Man film. And then one of the intriguing takeaways there are two actually. First one is there's a destroyed Avengers Tower in that trailer, maybe in an alternate timeline where Manhattan gets nuked and Tony Stark wasn't able to get that missile. Hmm, interesting. And also, there's a reference to maybe I know Murphy's multiverse uh, speculated on this. Maybe the Timekeepers or
Yes.
the Council of Tanks, right? There are two possibilities in that. But all in all, it's clear, it's confirmed that the TVA will be there. Owen Wilson is great, and we're going to clarify this. The one shot where you see that the violet scene, purple scene, that's not. I think that's not Natasha Romanoff, right? I think it's Sofia Di Martino's character.
Oh
Like,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, so there are many people hyping up that on Twitter. Just want to clear that out. So Loki, Charles, what's your biggest takeaway from that trailer? From all of I said, from
Man,
all what I've seen.
I'm with you. It's the best thing we've seen
Yeah.
from that entire fucking presentation. Like, holy shit. I was one of those people who said right from the get go, another Loki show. I can't stand Tom Hiddleston anymore in the role because it's kind of he's great, but come on, give the character a fucking break. He fucking died. So what the hell? Why the hell do we need to see another Loki story? But man, this trailer fucking convinced me. I think it's like honestly more than WandaVision and Falcon. I think I'm excited for this the most. Kevin Feige described the show as a crime thriller, which I don't think anyone was
Yeah.
expecting.
Mhm.
Owen Wilson, like you said, looks great. All the stuff. It almost has like a surreal vibe when he gets into that TVA. I don't know that court. Gugu looks scary. Everything just every moment in that trailer looks super fucking interesting and intriguing. Um, I actually think that shot in the destroyed New York. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the New York. That was the alternate timeline if Loki won in the Avengers.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they actually reference the events in the Avengers during the Chitauri invasion. That's what's gonna happen if Loki um actually wins in the Avengers movie. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. But yeah, there's so much to take here. I don't think that's Sophia, like you said. I don't think that's
Black Widow.
Natasha Romanoff in that scene. That's definitely Sophia Di Martino. And man, there's just so much to take here. Obviously, the DB Cooper stuff that people have been
Mhm.
referencing. I know some fans have pointed out that Loki even visits Pompeii when Pompeii still existed. So we might even go way back during I guess 98 BC or some shit.
Yeah.
They're really gonna explore the gamut of the I guess the history of the MCU here, and it's just super exciting, man. What a great trailer, and that whole vote for Loki thing is just such a nice nod. So amazing.
Really, really great. Really, really impressive Loki trailer from Marvel Studios. Joe, how about you? What's your biggest takeaway from that amazing trailer from the Tom Hiddleston led show?
When they announced the Loki series, I thought, okay, it's gonna, I don't know, he's gonna do mischief or something. I had no idea where they're going. When they teased the TVA, I was like, okay, that's very interesting. Which direction? We still had nothing. What is it going to be about? Now it just looks absolutely bonkers, and I'm all in. I think I have to say personally, I think it was the best trailer they showcased because it was just so unexpected with a lot of like small details and references. I'm really curious how it comes together. Will it be like a mystery over the entire series where each episode he'll be in a different time period and have mysteries there? Plus, if he's going through a history of Earth, will we also here see the Eternals? Because they do, that's a big focus of that series,
Mhm.
which was going to air before because it was supposed to come out in November. So, and now it comes out before. Um, I'm really curious. Loki looks like a blast. I think Tom Hiddleston, he really made the role his own. He has become an iconic staple of the franchise at this point. I'm curious, though, is this a longevity thing? Will we see Loki return even longer? Or is this like the last hurrah for the character, or at least the character we are familiar with? That's going to be, for me, the big question moving forward with what this series is going to do. And I'm excited though. Like I agree that the one sequence where everyone thought it was Black Widow. I doubt it as well. I'm curious about the whole world ending. I wonder how often he'll see that. Will he go through the multiverse? Will Kang play a role in the story in some way, or is it just a setup? I feel like Loki combines a lot of different time travel, multiverse, probably everything is kind of coming together in this one series, and I am there for it.
Yeah, and he has a guide too because the TVA is somehow recruited him or guiding him in his mission. Let's see. Loki, and then the next one is wow, a Zizzle reel for Miss Marvel. First time we see Iman Vellani in action, not in action, well, in actual Kamala Khan live action form. Uh, wow, I just want to say that she's perfect as Kamala Khan, and she's charming. She has that um, immense passion of being a superhero, of that idolizing a superhero and wanting to become one, and that sizzle reel just for that short clips. I'm sold for that for Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan. Joe, upon watching the sizzle reel of Miss Marvel, do you like Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, or what's your reaction?
I think she, from a visual standpoint, she looks the part. It's a perfect casting. I'm really interested in how they're going to approach the cultural aspect of her character, which is absolutely a fascinating thing to look and discuss. Um, I the thing is for me, what I'm really curious about, because we know Fantastic Four is coming, how are they going to approach her abilities? How are they going to make her abilities, extending your body parts or growing certain body parts can look extremely goofy. How are they going to make that?
Yeah.
And is the video game, it's a game, you can kind of get away with it. If you're in the comics, it's stylized, but live action is not going to be that easy. That is really what I'm curious about in their execution of it. But the one thing I'm really excited about is that there was a chalkboard with a drawing that looked really similar to Maximilian the Mad, saying "cool guy." Are the
Hmm.
Inhumans real or not? Can they not just tell us if she's Inhuman?
Yeah, I guess we'll open that up on our show.
Yeah.
Okay, Charles, how about you? Miss Marvel, your reaction to that very brief but impressive sizzle reel.
My favorite part of the series was seeing Iman's genuine reaction to being cast. I think that's probably the best part of the season reel. That's the one. That's the moment that sort of won me over. She just seems so
Yeah,
sweet, so
same.
cute, so warm, and it's just so it warms your heart to see someone so happy to just get the role. And it's also cool that Kevin Feige is just skyping with her. I mean, it's just so. I just like I'm so sold on her right now, and none of the uh, none of the stuff they actually showed really, I guess, drew me into that. Rather, as opposed to the Easter eggs, I think the Easter eggs are the bigger takeaway from the stuff they put out from the show, like the Maximo stuff. I think that's so huge. The Maximo stuff. I actually think that when I saw that cool guy thing, I, I think that they're actually gonna introduce some sort of the Inhumans here, because I think being an Inhuman is also part of Kamala's character. You can't just brush her off as some like random enhanced character. You gotta have that inhuman aspect there. So I think they're gonna do that slowly. They're gonna start introducing that slowly. Maybe in the Eternals we get some more details about that. But I think the Easter eggs of Maximus is what sort of is the biggest takeaway here.
The next news, we're going to talk about everything about Spider-Man 3. Tom Holland's currently untitled Spider-Man 3. Going to start off with the biggest one, which was written by Charles. Congrats, Charles. Charlie
Yeah.
Cox will return as Daredevil in Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3. Uh, just wanna give the floor to you. Run us through the story.
From what we've been told, Charlie Cox basically was in talks, I guess, for a while now, that to at least maybe join Spider-Man. And I know that I think last April he was interviewed by one of my friends from comicbook.com. He was asked point blank, is there any plans for you to be in Spider-Man 3? I know there's a lot of theories, whatnot, multiverse stuff. Is there any plans for you to be there? Charlie Cox flat out said no. He said that if there were
Hmm.
plans, it's not gonna be with me, which I think was very fucking sly of him, because I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know the exact dates, we were never given. We were just told that him being in Spider-Man 3 has been set in stone for some time. That's all we've been told. So maybe as early as April he had signed the contract, but it apparently has been in the works for some time. Now after Spider-Man 3, we don't know either what's next for him, because because it's a multiversal story. It's gonna depend on how that movie ends. What's gonna happen to Matt Murdock at the end of that movie? I saw someone say on Twitter, I forgot who, but basically they said this whole slew of old characters appearing, Charlie Cox and whatnot. It's just gonna be cameos. It's not gonna be for the entire movie. I heard that's just gonna be like for the third act. The first two acts just gonna be Spider-Man get trying to go his way in whatever problem he has, and all the multiversal stuff comes in the third act. So, if Charlie Cox is there, Matt Murdock from Marvel TV, if he pops in the end to help out, it's gonna. I don't see them bringing him to our world, to the world of the MCU. You can't just pluck someone out of the out of another universe and have him live here without any of his old friends here. Like Matt Murdock doesn't know anyone here in that MCU world. I don't think Foggy exists there. I don't think at least not the Foggy he knows. So it's gonna be interesting to see what exactly happens to that multiversal story before we can even have a hint on what they have planned for Charlie Cox. Like everyone like a few people, I'm kind of hoping for a completely fresh reboot with a new actor. But I mean, if we get Charlie Cox, it's certainly not a bad thing. He's done a great job as Daredevil here. So it's cool news, but I am super curious what's next for that, because if you do a soft reboot, how are you gonna do a soft reboot with
Hmm.
Charlie Cox but not everyone else in the story? Is he gonna get amnesia at the end of Spider-Man 3? He's not gonna remember anyone, so he's just gonna live in Peter Parker's world. There's so many questions here, but it's for sure Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox is gonna be in Spider-Man 3, and I guess that's exciting for everyone.
Yeah, and before I ask question, Joe, I just want to say in CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths, they address that point because their heroes are living on other Earths and stuff like that. The main resolution on what they did, I'm just not saying this will happen in MCU. I just want to find that context. What they did was they essentially reboot the entire multiverse and then started from scratch. But there are seven heroes, who were who has memories of the past multiverse. So it will be interesting to how Marvel will do that if they decide to keep Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock in the main continuity. Now, Joe, with all this news, Charlie Cox, and then the recent news of Willem Dafoe, Thomas Hayden Church joining as Green Goblin and Sandman, respectively, and all of that. Emma Watson, sorry, Emma Emma Stone, fuck, Emma Stone, Kirsten Dunst, all of them joining. Do you think Spider-Man 3 is getting too crowded?
The thing is that we also don't know the capacity. Like Charles pointed out, that it could just be cameos. It could be him falling through the web of the web of reality, and we see like these different like short snippets. I would love him to kind of have a sequence where he's running away from whoever is the actual main antagonist. There's still a theory that it's Craven. Maybe he was kind of combined with the with that vampire, that ancient one, multi-dimensional hunter kind of character. I think Morlun, where they like combine those two. So Craven is like a multi-dimensional spider hunter, and he starts ending up going after Tom Holland's version, then starts bumbling through different dimensions while trying to flee him. And that I could see that kind of being the connective tissue. And they like he runs through some dimensions, and like he's in the Netflix one, sees Daredevil, he helps him out shortly, and he continues on his path. The thing is that my fear is that it could be. It's not about too many characters, because we've seen them balance that out in the past. My fear is too many characters focus too much on nostalgia. And like if you have an entire last section of, oh my god, it's him, oh my god, it's him and him, you kind of lose focus on the story. And that would be my main concern, is that they overdo it to some degree. I also wouldn't be surprised if some characters just have similar versions of themselves in the MCU and they're reusing or recasting these characters. So like Charles, when he said, if Daredevil would be in the mainline MCU, I wouldn't be surprised if like they just go, okay, he exists here, he went through similar events, and maybe they ignore the whole dragon buried under New York City thing. No idea. But
Yeah.
it's the thing is that the Netflix shows kind of put it in a corner, with the Defenders crossover being such a strange story as it is. Who knows? I'm still excited for the film. I think they'll do fine. We've seen them handle it in the past. And I think it's ironic that a lot of people always complain that Marvel is too formulaic, and then they have like all these different cameos planned and characters. where people are like, oh, that's too crazy. So there's no golden middle. I'm excited for it either way, and I can't wait to see what they finally confirm. I just want a confirmation of something. Give us a title.
Yeah. And let's just hope that, Sony has that history of revealing so much in the trailers. So
Yeah.
let's just hope that Kevin Feige guides them like, oh, don't reveal that. Just keep it in film. I mean, it'd be fascinating how I hope that they will do the marketing for the film just like what they did with Endgame. Because the marketing for Endgame, Avengers Endgame, was brilliant. Because the trailer only managed to include a few shots from the film, only the first 30 to 45 minutes of the film, I think. Yeah. And it made fans salivate about what's to come. And I hope Spider-Man 3 delivers on that front when it premieres next December. And it will be great to find out how it will go. And now let's move on to our top picks, guys, for the crazy amount of news. We're going to rank our top 3 most anticipated projects for the MCU. Disney shows and movies combined. So you will include that on the list, top 3. You will say the 3 first, and then the second one, the first one. Joe, you start.
I was thinking, I'm still trying to figure out. There's just so much. That's the problem. I'll say for third, Secret Invasion, just because how are they going to do that? The Skrulls we've met are good. Are they going to be evil Skrulls? Will the Kree be the ones invading? How will that fit into anything with potential ties to Captain Marvel 2? So I'd say that's like my third most excited one, just from concept alone. Secondly, I probably put Shang-Chi. Realizing that we probably said the name wrong for most of our lives is already a good lesson.
Yeah. Kevin Feige, come on, man.
Can we get our comic book characters with proper pronunciations next time? But I'll say like that. I'm just really excited if it really is like a tournament. I'm a huge manga tournament fan, and I hope that could introduce us to a very different corner of the MCU. Plus, it takes place potentially before the blip happens. So, in my opinion, that's already such a potential interesting world to explore. And we finally get the reveal of the Mandarin and maybe even a cameo from Trevor Slattery. So, there's a lot of potential there. Number one would be just right now. I want to say WandaVision because we're so close to finally getting it. But I'll say Loki had such an amazing trailer. It may have bumped its way up to my top list of most excited, just because the concept, the way they'll integrate him into history, just the DB Cooper thing alone was such a clever nod that I'm really excited for it.
And before we go to Charles, I'm gonna say mine first because I'm so excited to tell my top 3. Third one is, for me, I think it's going to be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because that film will open things up. And there are rumors in the past that it will feature past versions of Marvel characters, and I'm excited for that to see that. And I'm just curious to know how Doctor Strange will open up the multiverse. We know that WandaVision will kick things off, but I'm just curious to find out how the reaction of Doctor Strange to this multiverse stuff. Oh man, I mean, I believe he anticipated it because of the Infinity War thing, but I can't wait to find out how he handles it in his sequel. Second one is Loki, because I'm very impressed with the trailer, and it makes me curious on what to find on how Loki will build upon that endgame scene, and it will and how he will be further fleshed out. And what's interesting about that is how it will differ, how his character journey will be different from this Loki, from the previous Loki that we've seen in Infinity Saga. That's interesting in its own right. And the next one is, of course, I must admit, I'm very excited for Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 is wow. It's a dream come true, because The first film that I saw in the movie theaters is Spider-Man of Tobey Maguire back in 2002, and now seeing it again, seeing him return in the MCU is not confirmed yet, but rumors are really there. It's really exciting, and Spider-Man 3 is one on the top of my list. Charles, your turn. Top 3 most anticipated projects.
For my third, it might be Armor Wars, mainly because of how good the logo looks. Like I really like how that logo looks. I also like the idea of someone like Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell returning, and it's always nice to see Don Cheadle suit up as a Rhodey because I did wonder, like a lot of people, where Rhodey's place is um in the world now that Tony's gone, now that everyone's having their own show. Where the fuck is Rhodey gonna appear? Is he gonna appear in Captain Marvel too? Well, alas, he has his own show, which is cool. Um, I'm pretty sure Ironheart's gonna tie into that as well, so that's cool too. As for my second one, as far as anticipated stuff based on the news we got uh last week, weirdly enough, even though I shot on him on Twitter, I'm kind of looking forward to Fantastic Four. I've had some time to reflect on John Watts directing, and it might be good that they got a safe guy. Maybe that's what the first family needs. The first family needs someone who can steer the ship and not go crazy. I know my criticism about John Watts was that he was too safe. He wasn't like a sexy choice like a Ryan Coogler or James Gunn. But in retrospect, maybe that's what they need. I know John Watts has a flair for directing kids and using young actors for his movies. If ever they do Franklin Richards, you know the Future Foundation, I think he'd be a perfect fit for that. But I guess the idea that the Fantastic Four is happening, they finally have a director and they even have a logo, means that they probably have concept art. They probably have people in mind for the role. So that to me is super exciting. As for my number one, I talked about it earlier. It's fucking Loki. I am so blown away by how they presented the show. It's so intriguing. It's so mysterious. I'm curious how it's a crime thriller. Owen Wilson looks great. I like that we don't even know who the actual bad guy is. The person in the hood murdering everyone in the trailer looks super interesting. Maybe it's Sofia DiMartino. Maybe it's Kang. Like last night we finally learned that Kang was gonna appear in Loki, Jonathan Majors. So I think Loki's gonna be the the biggest thing in the Disney Plus roster so far. We think it's WandaVision, but it's probably gonna be Loki, just based on that trailer.
WandaVision will kick things off. Loki will expand it even further. It's going to be exciting.
Yes.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Doctor Strange too. Yeah. How about you, listeners? What are your top 3 most anticipated projects in the MCU? Please do tweet us at twitter.com/MCUExchange. And you can also check out our website at www.mcexchange.com. And just one last shout out to our listeners over at Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Breaker. Thank you very much for listening. It's been a great year, guys. This is our year end. I'm gonna see them, hear them next year. And we started this off last January, and 42 episodes of fun, and then more episodes
Yes.
next year because there's going to be more MCU content. It's going to be crazy.
Woo!
Yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Aaronchino. That's ARONCHINO. You can also follow Charles on Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter at CFS Villanueva.
You can also follow Joe on Twitter.
Find me at @thatabel, THATABERL.
Awesome. On that note, thank you for a great 2020, guys, for the MC Exchange podcast. We launched this early this year, and it keeps getting stronger. And it will only get better next year.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye. Keep safe,
Merry
everyone.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas and
Happy
Happy New Year.